Welcome to the Indiana's Orthoimagery 2024. It's been 3 years of collection. We started in 2021, 22, and 23 is wrapped up now. A little bit of ahead of the schedule of previous years, so we're really excited about rolling this imagery out for 2023. It's time now to again to be talking about the future, and so we're looking at collecting and seeing who's interested in opportunities to acquire imagery for 2024. And I'll go ahead and let Sean and Brad introduce themselves.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks, Sean. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Benham. So I'm the VP of Programs here for the Sanborn Map Company. I am also the program manager here, working with Sean Scholler on the Orthoimagery program. We've been working together, as Sean mentioned, since Sanborn started on the program in 2021, and have just wrapped up our 2023 deliverables not long ago. So thanks for joining, and looking forward to answering any questions that you might have. Brad? Oh, Brad, you're on mute there.
Okay, there you go. So good morning. My name is Brad Archat. I'm with Sanborn. I work predominantly on the business development and consulting side for Sanborn. I support these programs through, essentially the RFP phase, getting, the project on board and so forth. And as the project continues over the years, I work with two Seans and the stakeholder base, you folks, essentially just providing consultative services, providing technical information as needed, providing pricing and so forth. So that's my role in the program. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Well, let's go ahead and get started. So here, all right, that didn't work. There we go. All right. So here's the state of Indiana. We have imagery that on this demonstrating the collection of 2021. I like this graphic. Two reasons. One, because it shows the flexibility of the program. You can see Allen County acquired imagery in 21 as opposed to their scheduled time in collection in 2022. We're always wanting to work with our local partners in really making sure that we don't acquire we don't have two birds over the same geography of the state, right? And that's one of the primary goals of the statewide imagery program. You can see here also that we've got a list, and really just a privileged opportunity to be a part of this program, dating back to 2005. And I remember talking to Phil Worrell not about the 2005 program, but the state thought they'd be able to get everything in 1 year, and after that they said never again. We're going to break it out into 3-year collections. So and then we have that 4th year as part of the integrated into the program for reflights and for opportunities for local government to acquire imagery just on their own, and then also giving the state a little bit of a respite to prepare for the next program cycle. So, well, I like this. I really appreciate the responses and the surveys that we get. So as folks have filled out the survey to get the credentials to Sanborn's FTP site, they have an opportunity to complete and just kind of say why statewide imagery is available. So we know that imagery is available as a base map, but what is it about the statewide imagery program that's beneficial? And here, let's talk about a few of the advantages. So number one, we have that defined resolution. It's a 6-inch product statewide now. We have opportunities to get 3-inch acquisitions. We know the accuracy. It's a national standard for the accuracy. If the imagery is needs to be basically within that 2-pixel So if we're looking at 6-inch imagery, it needs to be, the imagery needs to be within a foot of its horizontal location. And then we also have the time capture, and this is really nice because we offer a point file that incorporates the time and date for every photo that was integrated into the mosaic. So, and then lastly, I want to mention the just really the professional level QC verification. So the NDOT QC team has been performing the QC since 2011, and they've been reviewing. I'll be mentioning. I have a slide for them, so I don't want to give away too much. Moving on to imagery is available. And these are the different ways that we provide the imagery. So the state provides the imagery as for web map applications using imagery services. Those services are REST services. They're available to the public for integrating, and then also for download. So there's the initial download that we'll be speaking of from Sanborn's FTP site, and then we also have the imagery available for download from our other partners and our GIO, the Indiana map. Here we have the collection. It's collective, so anybody, I'd like to see a raise of hands, I guess, if we were in person. Yeah, who's managed an RFP and the billing and processing. So it is a process, and it takes time, and to be able to alleviate that, to remove that lift from you, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So, and also lastly is that the coordinated, that collective buying power, the mobilization cost up front for a vendor to come to get an aircraft. Well, first collect the control, get the aircraft on site, and all that processing for just a single geography is a lot. So being able to incorporate that into a statewide program is a huge lift. And here, just to talk about a little bit of the process. So Sean introduced himself. Brad also did as well. So what happens is, through this process, the inquiries we ask, they come to me, and this allows us at the state an opportunity to use our contacts and relationships around the state to leverage opportunities for broadening the area and working with potentially another neighboring county to integrate that a larger program. And then once that's done, once there's a request, that I pass that on to Brad, and he prepares and works with Sean to prepare those costs that we respond. So it's been a really nice process, and just keeping all the partners in the loop in the process. So here, I like this slide because I've got in the middle the partnership building, and that's really the most critical part of this is just continuing to work on those partnerships and understanding who's out there, what the cycles are for collecting imagery. Like I said, we have a huge need to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts with local government, and then just the kind of that life cycle, the annual life cycle. So in January we do the planning, and that's where we are right now. And I guess I could put in December maybe, but we're looking at identifying potential partners, and that preparation. Then February, April, we start acquiring imagery, and each of these you'll notice about a month overlap, and that's because the imagery, once it's collected, it starts through the process. It's not like we wait until all the imagery is collected before we start. And Sanborn's been really helpful in kind of dividing up each tier into blocks. So each block is then moved forward through the process. Anyway, that's all right. And so what are we what is the state acquiring? So the state acquires right now a 6-inch product with opportunities to buy up to 3-inch. And then we also incorporate a 4th band, and that 4th band has been integrated into to all the different collections dating back to 2005 even. That we have the red, green, blue, and near infrared. And you know what? I really like this slide because it emphasizes, even though you think the infrared is used for vegetation and for water identification, there's still an amazing amount of vegetation or signature that's recognized in that near infrared band that can be seen here in the 2021 sample imagery. So the other things then that I want to mention are those additional products. So we have the GeoTIFF, that uncompressed native product, and then we also create 2 compressed products of the on each of the tiles. So that's the ECW file and the Mr. SID. Each of those seem to have a preference for CAD users and other software users. So we're just wanting to make sure we accommodate the users. And then we also have the countywide mosaic, and that all of these products are used at the kind of the native compression for the software. So it's not quite lossless. It's pretty close. And for the cost saving on the hard drive, it's beneficial to use those. So the buy-up. So here's just a list of some of the partners that we've had over the last few years. We have the DNR, the Lake Michigan Coastal Program. They've been acquiring imagery and LiDAR for the last couple years now, QO1, along the Lake Michigan coast. We have Monroe County, Shelbyville, and this is kind of a neat one. The Shelbyville and Shelby County came together and partnered on a kind of a area that was helpful for both, and in the city of Huntington there. And then another really neat opportunity was the county of Jefferson bought up imagery for the 2 towns within its county, Madison and Hanover. And then we also have Huntingburg and Vermilion County that have also acquired 3-inch. So it kind of just emphasizes the flexibility of communities within the state in leveraging this program, either for themselves or for their communities. So Sean, I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. So so again, just a really kind of brief summary for those of you who may not be familiar with the Sanborn Map Company. Sanborn was founded in 1866. Some of you may be familiar with the historical fire insurance maps, Sanborn maps that are out and about and now in the Library of Congress as historical documents. So we've been around a long time as a company, but really, I think the focus here is that we are a full service dedicated geospatial solutions provider here. And really, as Sean mentioned, in the digital age here now, right, where it's funny to mention IR, right? In the past, to capture IR and RGB data in the same season, right? That required 2 different planes or 2 different film canisters, and quite a bit less efficiency than what we have now in the digital world, where we have really high-end systems capturing all of that data in one pass and at much higher resolution. So Sanborn has this number is growing. We have I think now somewhere north of 180 employees spread across the country. I'm here in the Washington D.C. area. Brad is in Minnesota. We have employees and staff all around the country. Our headquarters is in Colorado Springs. That's where the vast majority of our production work, and in particular on this program, occurs. So again, we're a quality-oriented company. We are an ISO certified company, which means we are documenting and being audited on our quality processes. And Sean mentioned quality and QC, which is really a key component to our project here. Go ahead, Sean. So again, what does a full service geospatial solutions provider mean, right? So I kind of like the slide, and I'm not going to go through all the words, but I really like the graphic on the bottom left. A lot of what we're going to talk about here is on is on the bottom, is on the base of that pyramid, this data pyramid, maps and data production, which is as it's shown here, right? A base for all of these things, value added things that move up the chain, things like analysis, right? Software applications, visualization, and then decision support at the end, right? Using this base map data to help inform decisions, which may save cost, save time, and really save lives at the end of the day. So, I think this is a really good visual to just reinforce that this base map data is the foundation for many value-added services downstream. So Sean already went through a bit of the history of the program. We'll focus here a little bit on 2023, the work we're just wrapping up. So as Sean mentioned, statewide, this was 6-inch resolution. I think that's notable, right? We kind of pass over that. Now we just assume, well, 6 inches is kind of the standard, and that's not always the way it used to be, right? The state used to be captured at 12-inch, I believe, Sean, and then now we've gone through a 6-inch cycle. Again, technology driving that increase, as well as efficiencies in our ability to process and deliver that data. So that's pretty exciting, right? To have that resolution upgrade. We also did, as Sean mentioned, do some 3-inch resolution upgrades in this year. All of that data was captured using our Vexcel UltraCam Eagle sensors, which again have recently been upgraded to the Mark IIIs, which increase some efficiency there in capture and quality. Sanborn owns and operates 4 of those UltraCam Eagle systems. We fly at about 12,000 feet above ground for that 6-inch resolution. The 3-inch is flown about half of that. So quite a bit of assets required, right, to cover even a one tier of the year. And we'll look at kind of how we plan that and some of the metrics behind that later. This data is all captured leaf-off, snow-free, cloud-free, and flood-free, and above 30-degree sun angle. So those of you who live in Indiana know that that's a pretty tight window between when the snow is on the ground and the leaves come on the trees. So as you'll see, we tend to have to flood the area with assets and look for those good sunny days, and then be as efficient as we can be at collecting this data. So here's just a look at our system inside of one of our aircraft. We typically have a pilot and a camera operator, systems operator in the plane, packed in with our UltraCam and any other equipment they need in there. It's a pretty tight fit and not for the faint of heart up there getting bounced around in our aircraft. And again, the kind of that last bullet there. This requires, and as resolution increases and as digital data increases, derivative products increase, this requires a very robust IT infrastructure. Our Colorado Springs headquarters stores our data center. I believe that number has almost doubled in almost just the last year that our data center is holding. I believe we're up to like 19 petabytes of active online storage, which is just an astronomical amount of data. But that's the world we're living in, right? We are a very digital heavy, data heavy world for online storage, whether that be cloud or local or servers. So we continue to invest and grow in online storage as our data needs grow. So, I kind of like this slide as well. It's a pretty simple slide. It makes everything look nice and easy. This covers a lot of ground here, but really this is the start to finish of what we're doing on an ortho imagery capture and program. Starting from source review and planning, as Sean mentioned, right, there's a lot of coordination that goes on up front about extents and resolutions and planning for a given collection cycle in the spring. That planning typically is happening now, right, where we're trying to put together plans and asset allocation for a spring flight. Then we go and acquire the data, right? So we're setting ground control where we need to. We're mobilizing our aircraft and our cameras and our crews, and hopefully collecting the data with nice sunny snow-free days. So that's typically happening mid-February to say mid-March or late March, or even into April, depending on the season. Then the data goes into our production process, right? So there's a couple key components here. Aerial triangulation. Basically what we're doing is we're taking all of these individual photos, matching them together, and then running a rigorous bundle adjustment, a geometry on these photos to essentially match them to each other and build in our spatial accuracy to the data, to the pixels. We then use a DEM, an elevation model. In this case, we're utilizing the statewide LiDAR data set to essentially rectify, to drape, or for lack of a better word, that imagery to the ground and make sure that we're accounting for any terrain changes or terrain impacts on the positional accuracy of the data. Then the real work kind of comes in from a technician standpoint. We're generating seam lines, so we're essentially stitching all of these tens of thousands of photos together. We're trying to color balance them so that they look like a single photo, so to speak. And then we're having to go through and edit and correct for any geometric issues that are kind of inherent in imagery, things like bridges or overpasses, moving seam lines to avoid cutting features to the extent possible. So a lot of work going into the editing side prior to generating final products and delivering out to the state. So I'll take a second to just do a little bit of a deeper dive into the slides Sean mentioned earlier with buy-ups. So, you know, we've just kind of covered the base product, right? The 6-inch orthoimagery, but there are a number of buy-ups available through the program and through the contract, and that are fairly typical of orthoimagery programs and then beyond. So I'll break these into two categories. The first, and for those of you thinking about buy-ups maybe into the 2024 season or beyond, there's really kind of two considerations here, right? One is any buy-ups that are acquisition focused, so that would be impacted by the planning and the actual acquisition of the data, and then derivative products that can be generated at any time once the data is captured and the base product is delivered. So we'll step through kind of each of these on a slide, I believe here, Sean. So yeah. So the first is oblique. So this is actually a completely separate product, a completely separate flight, but it is an option available under the contract. So obliques differ from our orthoimagery in that, while we are still capturing a nadir, a straight down photo like our orthoimagery, we're also capturing 4 cardinal direction views at 45 degrees for every photo we're capturing. So this gives us a 5-view coverage of a given project area. The vertical image, again, still 4-band RGB near IR. The oblique views are typically a 3-band RGB view. Because this is a separate flight, a separate sensor, separate aircraft, we have the ability to capture at really any spec and resolution that you might choose. This data then is processed very similarly initially to the ortho product. However, the oblique views have some unique characteristics, and we then put those into an online viewer, Sanborn's Oblique Analyst, that has a number of different tool sets available to utilize that 45-degree view as well as the nadir imagery. It's a licensed product, but essentially there is no usage, sharing, or deployment restrictions. There's no per seat cost. We really just, and the license is yours in perpetuity. It's just we restrict the resale of the data. So a very open product. If there's interest, certainly reach out to Sean and he can get you some more information. LiDAR. So again, this is another separate sensor, separate flight. So again, we're kind of focused on buy-ups that might require pre-flight planning. You know, many of you are probably familiar with the LiDAR data. The state has a statewide LiDAR data set. I know there's an interest for a new LiDAR data set here to be collected, but Sanborn owns and operates a number of different LiDAR sensors as well. We are a USGS prime program vendor here under their 3DEP program. So again, not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but essentially, if there's interest in LiDAR products, that's certainly an option currently under the contract. High resolution orthophotography. So this is probably the most common BIOP we see. We've already mentioned that over the last 3 years, there's been a number of BIOPs for resolution upgrades, typically to 3-inch resolution. That's kind of the common next step from 6-inch. So same process, same product, still 4 bands, still captured with our same system, really just flown lower. That's kind of the key there. So it typically takes more flights to acquire because we're flying more flight lines and more photos to cover the same footprint, but and requires some additional control and additional planning. But really the benefit here, as you might expect, higher resolution and higher accuracy data, right? You're able to actually see features in greater detail. This lends to things like increased planimetric collection, right? Utility features, manholes, catch basins, sometimes power poles, right? Things that in the 6-inch resolution pixel may not be readily or easily identified. At 3-inch, we tend to get quite a bit more detail there. So pretty common BIOP, and as Sean mentioned, we have a number of different areas that have been collected at 3-inch under the program already. So planimetric mapping. So this is maybe just the tie into 3-inch. Although I will note this is where we start switching to products that now are not flight dependent, so to speak, right? So if we're capturing at 6-inch or at 3-inch, whatever the flight was captured at, planimetric mapping can be done really at any point downstream from that data capture. There's nothing in the flights, so to speak, that would need to be changed in order to do derivative planimetric mapping. So here we're talking about capturing features as points, lines, or polygons, right? So things like buildings or road edges or bridges, or as I mentioned at the 3-inch, sometimes utilities or power poles. This is a GIS process. We're capturing in typically in a stereo photogrammetric environment using our overlapping photos that we're capturing. Typically not digitizing off of orthos, but we can do that as well. And these are typically delivered as GIS or CAD data products, can be 2D or 3D with elevations. You may have an existing data set, right? Maybe you have a building data set that was captured 5 years ago that now is out of date. The new imagery can be used as a base to go through and add and update and remove destroyed buildings, etc., as a derivative product. So very common BIOP here out of many imagery programs. Contours. So although now with LiDAR data and potentially more LiDAR data coming, we see more and more the use of high accuracy LiDAR to generate contours. These can be done from the ortho products as well, but given the accuracy and the high density of the current LiDAR systems, we're typically seeing contours generated from the LiDAR data. But this is again a derivative option under the contract. So we're going to move from derivatives maybe kind of back to just some detail on the program and planning and execution, just to give you an idea and maybe some thoughts moving forward here. Sean and I, kind of talk a lot about this slide. This was really done. I think, Sean, this is tier 2, I believe, if I remember correctly. So this is the 2022 area. And we use the word efficiency a lot, right? So what we did here is we took a pretty deep dive prior to flights, once we had our AOIs defined, because this was a relatively unique AOI design, right? The south kind of has this little jut out, moving south. Then we have a more typical blocked out design, and then we kind of had this oddity because that's Allen County that had been done in year 1, Sean, if I remember correctly. So this was a bit of an inefficient design, we thought, right, in terms of trying to fly straight flight lines in as efficient manner as we can. So what we did is we really just had our flight planners go and say, okay, let's plan this out in a few different ways and really evaluate what impact that has to our collection. Because as we mentioned, our window is very short. We have a lot of assets that are going to be needed. So even saving a few hours of collection is important for us, and it's important for the state to make sure we can try to get all this collected in one season. So we went through this process. We kind of turned all our flight lines around and put them, did a couple different potential options, and then at the bottom there really just ran out some metrics and evaluated what the collection might look like in a perfect world. And it was pretty interesting. I mean, what we found is even with all of these sort of new orientations of lines and trying to be as efficient as we can, we found the collection actually was pretty equal, right? If you look at the acquisition hours, we were within, say, an hour, actually very close, regardless of the design, and that the traditional east-west stacking from south to north in terms of the line design actually proved to be essentially the most efficient line, even though we had a few extra lines in there. So again, all this to say, there's a lot of work that goes in up front to look at how we are designing our collection and designing then the delivery of the products to the state. And this is really where Sean kind of leading the charge here and helping us understand your needs as stakeholders then lets us go in and put together the best plan of attack to try and deal with all these variables and making sure that we're gonna get the data collected and delivered within the flight year.
There we go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the acquisition and tracking. So here, Sean mentioned that previous slide, and I really like that other slide because it just demonstrates, always taking kind of a fresh look at every collection cycle. And not assuming that the way it's always been done is the best way to do it. But here you can see the flight tracking. I like this the graphic there in blue. That's the first lift on the first day of collection in 2021 down there in southern Indiana, and it's just that steady march northward through the season that Sanborn collects the imagery. And Indiana's fortunate that we have a long skinny north and south state. Thank goodness we're not our neighbors to the south or some others that are elongated horizontally. So but then on the other slide on the right side, the green, those look like flight lines. So those are actually photo points, and each photo point is each photo that's collected is reviewed internally by Sanborn. So I don't even get a chance to look at it in the first few day or two. And then like I said, a day or so, the imagery then is coded as either yay or nay, and you can see the nays in there along the Ohio River boundary there on the southern side, and those are flagged. Those are also then available for me to review. And really, it's nice because I'm able to talk through with Sean then on a very short turnaround the imagery that's collected and provide input and feedback. And as communities buy up to 3-inch, we also supply the viewer to them and just giving them a status of how the collection's coming along. Here a little bit just emphasizing the flight tracking again. We have Hanover and Madison there on the left side. On the bottom there, you can recognize that as the Lake Michigan, and just that kind of complicated pattern of flight lines that's required for projects. So always used to thinking, spent 18 years in Wayne County, and it was always either north to south or east to west flight lines. But we've got a lot of opportunity to consider other options. Here, this slide, is another opportunity for Sean and I to kind of geek out on some of the collection information. This one emphasizes, the the importance, and going back to that previous slide that Sean explained, the importance of making sure that this collection is done as quickly and efficiently as possible. You can see in 2021 and 2022, we had about the same number of collect lifts for the season. In 2023, we had a significant fewer lifts, and also if you look at the aircraft that were deployed, it was fewer aircraft. So what I was really realizing was that the more efficient, the quicker that we do the collection, the longer. I mean, obviously, the downside is the longer the flight season. The more aircraft are going to be brought in, and just kind of overall, extending that timeline for collection. So Sanborn was ready in early February. What is the 2023 February 11th was the they had an incredible opportunity to get started and getting most of the southern, probably third of tier 3 completed, collected. Before there wasn't any snow, there wasn't any flooding at that point, and it was just optimal weather. So that was really a great jump. And then the other thing that we could mention is the transition from the Mark II to the Mark III sensor that allowed Sanborn to fly just a little bit higher and reducing the number of flight lines. So, I don't know. Sean, is there anything else you'd like to mention? But
no, I think that, yeah, that's good, Sean. Thanks.
And so here, this is important because we want to make sure we talk about efficiency and not wasting time or resources. The last thing we want is for Sanborn's crew to lift and start collecting imagery over areas that have flooding or have some snow, lingering snow. And we always tolerate some snow piles, although we don't want significant amounts of snow on the ground. It really messes with the histogram of the imagery and the image quality. So here I just want to call out some of the partners that I've worked with and going through and just basically texting. Sanborn collects imagery 7 days a week. So relying on these resources over the weekend and texting and just verifying the ground conditions at any particular time in that season. So, and likewise, if I'm always looking for more ears or eyes on the ground. So if you're interested, please reach out to me, and we're going to be repeating this cycle in another 2024 if your community has interest, and then obviously in 25 we'll be repeating and rinsing through this whole cycle again. So here talking about the QC, and Sanborn does a great job on their initial internal QC, and the state also has the aerial survey team here at INDOT looking through the seam lines, the bridge decks, tonal balances, just making sure that things are images are those I want to say millions of images. I know Sean just says a few thousand or so, but
Tens of thousands.
Yep, tens of thousands. So it's a lot of images that need to be seam-lined together. The tonal balance is critical. Occasionally you'll see a little tonal balance between on water bodies or along the river, right? But when it comes to the important areas of agricultural land to metropolitan areas, how those seam lines are weave and dodge in around even the cars on the street is just amazing. So anyway, I want to just call out the INDOT QC team on their contributions. Here's just a few couple examples. You can see, and this kind of goes to the testifying to the internal QC that Sanborn deploys. We provide them the building footprints. They also extracted the building the bridge decks from the LiDAR point cloud and used the bridge deck shape to kind of drive their QC team to verify. And here's the just a small bridge, but typically they're the smaller bridges. The most notable thing, I wish I had a screenshot of it. And on the western side of the state, we learned that the covered bridges were something that we didn't accommodate in providing Sanborn the building footprint for or the footprint for covered bridges. So those were those popped up a few times in the QC. So now let's take a step in moving toward what you and the public gets in order to access the imagery. So I alluded to this survey. This survey is an opportunity, for us to learn what what is helpful and for the public in terms of the imagery. So, but and then on the right side is that file structure. So you get after completing the survey, you get the credentials to the FTP site, and you can see here we get the checklist. That's an internal document that Sanborn reviews and makes sure that everything's all the hundreds of things that need to be done are checked off. And then the indexes. Within that index file, I want to point out, you get the footprint file, and you also get that photo center point. And that photo center point is really helpful for your agencies that need to verify when the imagery was actually collected. So you can pull that up and get the date and even the hour that it was collected. There's the metadata. Wonderful resource for those folks that come along and find the information and want to learn about it. The image mosaic, that's that county-wide mosaic that's created, and then those 3 tiled products: the ECW compressed product, the Mr. Sid compressed product, and then the TIFF uncompressed product. So anyway, always folks really appreciate those compressed products as a way to save on disk storage. So here, another thing that we got out of the survey was just recognizing that well, number one, on the right side there, who's downloading, and kind of summarizing by the email domains. Seeing that the counties are number one, utilities, cities, and surveying folks. But this is just that initial lift. Once it's downloaded, we also have other external partners through Purdue at the Department of Forestry at Jinha, and also and Tuna there at the Indiana Spatial Data Portal. Download this imagery and make it available on their sites. So, but the other thing is, on the right side, we have a it's interesting that everybody that downloaded it wanted more than just a single county. So I'll poke at Carroll County. If they downloaded the imagery, they didn't download just Carroll County, they downloaded their neighboring counties as well. And that really goes to the testament of a statewide program and that benefit. Here, talking about already talked about the formats, also just the software applications that are the primary that users primarily use to access imagery. Esri, GIS software, but CAD is number 2, the Open GIS software, and other software, the ThinkMap WTH software as well, and then also there at the bottom. So here on this next slide, it was an opportunity again for us to geek out, and I asked Sean to provide, if he could provide, any statistics on file downloads. So he gave us the last 12 months of log files for Indiana downloads from their FTP site. And as you can see, we have the TIFF, the ECW, and Mr. SID. All three, come in pretty, significantly, used among the users. And you can see then we even got a little bit of a snapshot on the 2023 imagery that began to get downloaded there. So, and now let's talk about a little bit of the future. So we're wrapping up, this collection. We have our off year in 24, and we're going to be looking at 25. So the LiDAR, if you recall, our first collection, statewide collection, was in 2011. That was a QL3 product. It had that 20 vertical centimeter accuracy at basically 1 point per square meter, and then we jumped to in 2016 to QL2 at basically halving that vertical accuracy to 10 centimeters, and then having 2 points per meter. Now we're looking at the RFP that's just, I think, been released maybe well, it's not today, it's later this week, that for 2025, but that's going to be a QL1 product. So if communities are interested, it's going to be available for, we'll be starting that kind of dual collection of orthoimagery and LiDAR in 25. And really the neat thing about this timeline is you can see the change in vertical accuracy, although in 16 and 25 we're going to have that same vertical accuracy, which is, it's really hard to believe that you can go anywhere in the state and pre-plan an area at that level of vertical accuracy. It's just, to me, it's a little bit of mind-blowing, that ability, and really, I mean, across the nation. So, and then the other thing that you can see there is that increased, I'll refer to it as resolution, but the going from 2 points to 8 points per meter. This is paralleling kind of the orthoimagery, moving from 12 to 6 to 3-inch orthoimagery. This is where we increase that point density and resolution and detail, and being able to extract the building footprints, the vegetation, other impervious areas and things like that. So it's really going to be a significantly higher resolution going forward. Let's talk about, here's a slide to just emphasize some of the ways of accessibility. So on the right, we have the orthoimagery. A couple of so these are services that are available from our REST services. We have embedded, you can see there's a couple of functions, raster functions that are deployed in the dynamic service. So you can easily, within a couple clicks, turn on the color infrared, and we also embedded an NDVI, that vegetation index. And then on the bottom we have the DM. So talking a little bit again, this presentation's about orthoimagery, but just want to sneak in, the access to the DM, and we also have embedded raster functions into those REST services as well, so you can get the shade relief, the hill shade, and slope, and other things out of these dynamic REST services. And then ways to download the imagery. So I've mentioned some of the partners that we have with the universities, and also then we've created the feature service and collaborated it with the Indiana map. So if you're interested in downloading, you can go and download the individual GeoTIFF directly from the Amazon Open Bucket. And really, I haven't talked at all about where this imagery goes, but Sanborn has been for the last couple of years now uploading directly the imagery that the deliverables to our they put it on the FTP site, and then they upload it directly to our Amazon Open Bucket. That's the resource for the REST imagery services that we provide. And these REST services are available to the public. They're built out on Esri's ArcGIS Online infrastructure. So if you are interested in embedding these services into your community's GIS mapping applications, you're welcome to do that. So, and with that, I've got one more just to kind of talk about some of the visualization products there with the DM. Because, just wanting to make sure that folks realize the visual products that are available. That DM or the LiDAR is not just an X, Y, and a Z. There's so much more to it. So just trying to emphasize the additional visual products that can be used, incorporated. And then here, another slide talking about that increased point density. So we have a provision in the RFP to bump up the point density to 24 points per meter for utilities or other agencies that may need a higher point density. And then we're also looking at that additional classification in this RFP that's going out. So with that, how are we doing on time, Sean? Looks like we did all right.
Yeah, I think we have some time for questions, so that's good. Thanks, Sean.
If you'd like to take yourself off mute, please do so, and we can answer any questions you have.
Hi, Sean. This is David with Indiana Department of Health. I was kind of just curious, have you or any other collaborators discussed analysis tools or raster analysis that you can do for some of these value adds? Like you were talking about structure quality or maybe landscape analysis.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do have embedded within the Esri ArcGIS Online is to deploy the raster analytics. So that's a function that's available for state agencies to kind of deploy that analytical piece of for imagery or for the LiDAR. Yeah, we can talk more about that. Yeah, great
Sure.
question, because
Thanks.
there is so much more to these products than just the visual. We're also going to be building out I've mentioned the dynamic imagery services. We're going to be pushing out a cached imagery service that'll be providing higher performance, and it'll also be allowing for folks to use imagery in offline applications. Esri field collection applications that may not have internet access at all times in all parts of the state. So that cached imagery service will be particularly beneficial in those cases. So looks like we're wrapping up. I just want to say thanks again for Sean and Brad to be helping in this partnership with the Orthoimagery. It's been wrapping up our third year. Have an entire state now collected. It's hard to believe this time is come and gone pretty quickly. So we do have a few counties looking to acquire orthoimagery in plans for 24. So I know we're still going to be needing to collaborate on some projects, and also other counties are also looking at those additional products, the building footprints and other things. So those post imagery products that can be acquired. So all right, well, one last shout out for anybody to ask a question. All right. Well, thanks, Sean, Brad, everybody else.
Thank you, Sean.
Right.
Appreciate the time.
Okay. Bye now.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Be well.